from the chapter plants, and the lesson name is how can you classify plants. All of you know about the plants, that plants are living things, what they need to grow, but how we classify plants, before going to that, we must have to know what does actually the classify means. Classify means to organize items into the group. You know, the groups that we make different groups so that it will be easy for us to do the work. For example, in the class, when we are having a quiz session or something else, we make the groups like group of the group of girls, group of boys, or group of 5 boys in one side, group of 5 boys in another. In this way we group. It means we are actually classifying the things, classifying the students, like classifying or organizing the things. How we actually classify the plants or classify different items? By seeing their colors. For example, if you have colors, if you have a lot of I cannot say toy now, you are big students now, but if you have a lot of different colors things and you want to organize all the things according to their color, like you put red colors things at one side, you put yellow color things at another side, and similarly you put all different colors separately. It means you are classifying those things by their colors. Similarly, we can also classify or group the things by their size. Size means how big or small, short or long. You can also classify the things or classify the plants by their size. Next, by looking at the shape. Shape means how the things look like. Means you can see, if you see anything, what is exactly the shape. Is it round, square, flat, whatever it is. We can also classify by means of shape. Next is how they reproduce. How they reproduce. If you talk about the animals or the people, reproduce means to producing the offspring, to producing the childrens, okay? In the plants, we can say how the new plants grow up, okay? How new plants grow, or how the older plants produce the new plants. So in this way, and you know how new plants comes, it is because of the seeds, right? So we have to talk about this. Is it only the seed that grows into the new plants or something else? And we classify the plants by their flowers or the seed. What does it mean? It means we classify the plants by looking at them. Does these plants have all the parts? Like, does they have the flowers or not? Because in this world we have actually 2 types of plants, or mostly we classify the plants into 2 groups, and that group is based on this, that does they have the flowers or the seed or no, okay? So the plant classification, when we start, or we classify the plants on the basis of their flowers and the seed. The plants who have the flower, like this one, we classify them as the flowering plant. Number 1, flowering plants. Simply the plants which have flowers, that grows the seed, okay? And the non-flowering plants, number 2 is non-flowering plants. And non-flowering plants means the plant which does not have flowers. This second picture. So we classify the plants into 2 groups: the plants with the flower, flowering plants, and the plants without flower, non-flowering plants. Means we have 2 groups of plants: the flowering plants and the non-flowering plants. So now we will discuss one by one that first we will discuss about the flowering plants, and then we come towards the non-flowering plants. Flowering plants is simple as the name from the flowering, that these plants have the flowers and the seed. Okay, important thing, these plants have the flowers, these flowers. Okay, that are the flowering plants. We have so many flowering plants. In this book we will discuss 3 types of flowering plants that we have. Okay, these 3 types of flowering plants which we are going to discuss is: number 1, magnolian tree. All these things we discuss in the class, now only reviewing the things. Okay, number 2, iris plants, and number 3, roses or rose bushes. You all know about the roses. So magnolian trees, these are flowering plants. As you can see in the picture, they have something like white flowers. Okay, iris plants have smaller than this magnolian because they are the big trees. Okay, and the rose bushes. All these 3 are the flowering plants, but the main difference between them is, look at their stem. This is the stem, this and this is the what stem. It not writing good. Okay, I am trying to write it with the pen, but okay, these are the stem. If you look at the stem, this magnolian tree have a thick woody stem as compared to this iris tree, and same if we look at the rose bushes stem, it's also thin comparatively, but the iris plant stem is so thin that it allow the plants to bend mean it become like this. When there is air or wind come, if there is a heavy wind blowing, then these stem bend down. Okay, and rose bushes, their stem have the bristles, like you touch you hurt. These bristles protect actually the plants. So all these 3 are the examples of the flowering plants. Next is the non-flowering plants. The plants, as the name shows, that does not have flowers. If they does not have the flower, who make the seed for these plants? As we know that flowers make the seed, but in these plants we does not have any flower. So who make the seeds for these plants? Cones. This is the structure of the cones. If you look at the picture, inside of these cones are the seeds. So in the non-flowering plants, either the cones make the seed for the plant, but you know, if you look at these 2 pictures, there is no seed in these 2 pictures. These blacks, they are not the seeds, they are something else. Or if you look at the tip of this plant, this plant is called moses, or you simply call it moss. Okay, this is the moss. In this plant there is no seed, they have the spores. They are non-flowering, they have the spores, and what I circle is the point where the spores form. And this plant, the second one, this plant is called the fern. Okay, fern. And in this plant also, this is non-flowering plant, and in this plant the spores are formed behind the back of the leaf. You see the black one, these are the spores. So in this fern plant, the spores where it form, they don't have the cone. Although they are non-flowering plant, but they don't have the cone. Their spores are formed behind their leaves, or in case of mosses, they have in the tip of the stalk, the spores are formed. But this plant is a coniferous plant, and these plants, they have the cones to make the seed. Okay. And if we talk about separately what the spore is. Spore is a small cell that grows into a new plant. Again, this is the fern and this is the leaf of the fern, and these are the mosses. Okay, and here the tip make the spore, and here the leaf make the spores. Spores is something like the seed which grows into a new plant, but it is very small like the cell. Okay. Now, last topic of this lesson is the rainforest plants. What does it mean? That which types of plant this area has? This rainforest has which type of plant? Rainforest has both types of plant. They have the flowering plants and the non-flowering plants. In this area, there is heavy rain throughout the year, continuous rain throughout the year. Rainforest is the area with continuous rain throughout the year, and it has both types of the plants, the flowering plants and the non-flowering plants. If they have both types of plant, what does it mean? It means they have the cones, they have this, some non-flowering plants or have the cones, they have the spores, flowering plants are the flowers, they make the seeds. Okay, so in this lesson we discussed all about the classification of plants, that how many groups of plants, two groups, flowering plants and the non-flowering plants, and the one topic we discussed is the which type of plants are present in the rainforest, and we say both types of plants are present in the rainforest, that is the flowering plant and the non-flowering plant. Hope you understand. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Thank you.